about them and been able to ask for them. Okay, I just got an Apple Watch that my son gave me. I have no idea how to turn it off when it's ringing. The phone.
The red one.
I think I go like this. Okay, I think I did. I'm learning new technology. What resources and services, had you known about them and been able to ask for them, may have helped you stay connected to school. If you ended up on the street, same question. Resources and services available, been able to ask for them. So the Youth Action Council created a survey. They took that survey out onto the street. They took that survey into schools. They're asking those two questions. The Catalyst team, we're talking to schools, service providers, anyone that we believe is working with this population of youth or has contact with this population of youth. And we come back together, put the list together, and we end up with a step list of 65 different resources and services. So easy stuff, hard stuff, shelter, mediation, drug and alcohol treatment, and then everything you can think of in between. Mental health services, dental, vision, jobs, everything, like literally everything. So great, we have a list. Now what do? So we reached out to our tech community. We said, we need to figure out a way to connect these students to these types of resources and services in real time. So while they're trying to figure that out, the Catalyst team, we went out and we took this list to every service provider here in Eugene and said, do you do any of these things on this list? Do you do one of them? Maybe you do all of them. Do you do them for a different population? Maybe you don't do them for unaccompanied youth, but maybe you do them for kids in foster care. Maybe you do them for kids with disabilities. So all these organizations are looking at this list and checking things off, per se, with no money in hand, and I never have any money in my hand. I say, would you be part of a community effort, part of a network that would provide those resources and services to the specific population of youth, the unaccompanied? Every single organization that we approached said yes, without hesitation, every single one. And then we have some ones that you wouldn't think are in there. Junior League of Eugene, one of the first partners in the network. Well, what do? Well, they didn't know what they were going to do, but one of the things was we found out how hard it was for students to get an Oregon ID. Now, some of you may have worked on the legislation that just passed. Thank you for doing that. But before that legislation passed, in order to get your Oregon ID, you had to have your birth certificate, your social security card, and $44.50. And then you had to get yourself down to the DMV, answer all those questions, et cetera, et cetera. So right there, barrier after barrier after barrier. So what we did is we trained Junior League of Eugene to be able to navigate how do you help these students get a birth certificate, get their social security card, and then they paid for the $44.50, right? And so for things like you can't take your GED if you don't have an Oregon ID. So, okay, excuse me, we better figure out really quick how to get them the Oregon ID if they're willing and able and ready to take the GED. So when you look at our network, you went online to the 15th night and you looked at our partner network, it's 40 plus organizations and it's always growing. And I say, we need everybody to play in this sandbox. Anybody that is willing to participate and join the rep as a community to support these students, we need you. And my job is to find out how to plug you in, whether it's an organization, a business, or an individual. That's my job, is to plug you in. So back to IT. IT created a way that helps youth connect to that network of resources and services in real time via a text message and an email. And it's called the RAM, the Rapid Access Network. Rapid Access Network actually launched at the beginning of 2016. And we did it with a very small group of school staff and service providers. And actually at the time, school resource officers from WPG. And we want to try it out because this is our commitment to the youth, and this is our commitment to our network and all of our partners. If you send if you send an alert in the system, we are going to do everything we can to make sure that you can deliver on that item. If it's an item, a service, etc. Now, the one I can't promise you from the very beginning, it wasn't an issue. It's a little bit better, but it's still an issue. That's the one thing I can't deliver on. Everything else we can deliver on. So you're going to send alert. So the very first alert was actually sent by a school resource officer at South Eugene High School. And he noticed a student that had walked into school, this was in the late fall, without any shoes on. And so he approached her and he said, I noticed you don't have any shoes on. And she said, buzz off, don't talk to me. I'm on my way to class. I'm just trying to get to class. He goes, well, what if I could get some shoes? Whatever. So he sends an alert in the ring. Boys and Girls Club responded. They have a big donation from Nike at the time. Junior League of WG responded. We have some gift cards to Fred Meyer's. Looking Glass Community Service responded. We have a closet that has shoes. So later in the afternoon, he finds her. He says, hey, I can get you some shoes, and here are your options. I love this program for so many reasons. Here's your options. What do you want to do? And she said, I think I'd like to go to the Boys and Girls Club. I love the story because I'm sure she's never been to the Boys and Girls Club. So he takes her to the Boys and Girls Club. She gets to pick out her own pair of shoes. But more than that, she got to go to an organization that has safe people. So she's like meeting people. She knows where it is. She knows what it's like to walk through the door. She's meeting people. That she got her shoes. Good. But also with the person that sent the alert, the school resource officer, now he's not such a bad person, right? And this could have been a math teacher, and this could have been anybody sending an alert. But it's helping the person that's trying to help the youth build a relationship with the youth, because next time it's not going to be shoes I'm asking for. It's going to be something like, I'm depressed, I need help, I need to see a therapist, or it's going to be something in shoes. So we have the Rapid Access Network that launched, and we have now expanded that to Eugene and Springfield schools. So we support the community of Springfield and the community of Eugene. Then, so we get that off the ground. This all happens really quickly, especially if you have a yes team and you're listening to you and you're involving the entire community. Things can actually happen pretty quickly. So this happens really fast. Then the next question back to the youth. What do we do next? And they were like, you need to get into the schools. You need to help people understand what's helpful and what's not when you have a student who's navigating homelessness. Well, tell me more about that. What do you mean? Well, if you're homeless and you're coming to school, you hear people talking about you. Man, she smells. Well, yeah, because I don't have access to a shower. Or she's been wearing that same outfit for the whole week. Yeah, because my life's on my back and my backpack. Or I have another change of clothes. Or I fall asleep at the class because it's warm and they're safe. And I slept outside last night. Or maybe I didn't get a good night's sleep on that couch that I was sleeping on. And the teacher gets all over me. And so sometimes it's just those things, right? It's the whisper. It's the getting called out, and that's it. That is the straw that breaks the camel's back, and that is out. They're out. So what can we do? Well, what can we do? And I want to say in teachers' defenses, in the defense of teachers, these students are hidden in plain sight. If I lined up the students, you would not be able to pick out which one was navigating homelessness. I guarantee it. Because these are your basketball players, they're your theater people, they're in leadership, they're in art class, and they are doing everything they can not to be noticed. One of our Youth Action Council members told me that most of his life, his family was homeless, and when I met him, they were living in a car, and he and his sister were staying at Station 7. And he was going to, I keep saying South Eugene High School, but honestly, that's where it all started, so I'm just gonna say it. But he was going to South Eugene High School. And he told me that every day he wore a button-up shirt, a clean button-up shirt, because he didn't want anybody to know he was living in a shelter. So they're hidden in plain sight, these kids. Okay, what do we do? So what do we do? So knocked on every, sorry Judy, you've heard this story a million times, sorry. Judy Newman, 4J school board member, thank you. I knocked on every principal's door here in 4J. Megan Schultz, 15th night, homeless students, Youth Action Council, need to come into your school. I have no idea what I'm doing. And the principal that said yes was Dr. Andy Dye from South Eugene High School, who's now your superintendent of 4J Public Schools. He said, I'm game, let's figure this out. Let's figure it out. So what we figured out was a couple things. One is, whatever we do in a school has to be for every student who needs anything for any reason. It doesn't matter why you need it. So every student. The other thing we learned, there is nobody in the school that knows all the resources and services that are available in your school building for any or all of your students. There's nobody. So my thing was, well, let's figure out what there is. If there's resources and services right here in this school building, let's figure out what it is. So we interviewed any staff member that would talk to us. The math teacher, the librarian, the custodian, the cook, the principal, the counselors, everybody. And we ended up with a list. They actually have quite a few things inside of a school, and nobody knows about them. And then the other thing that we now do, we did not do when we started, was we teach a class with students, because we're trying to figure out, what do the students know or not know? So we give them a scenario about finding a resource in their school. We tell them they need to go find it. When they come back to class the next day, we ask them, did you find it? Who did you ask? Did they have what you needed? What was that experience like? And we find out really quickly what the students know about their resources, who their trusted people are, who are they asking for help, and what their experience was. And we also are asking both the staff and the students, what do you wish you had in your school that you don't have? Food and mental health services are always, since we started doing this, South Eugene High School 2017, I just finished, this year we did Mapleton School District, Thurston High School, Springfield High School, Preswell High School. And so we've done a lot of schools. I didn't name off all the 4J schools. We've already done them. We've already done Willamette, we've done Calplia, Al Kennedy, out at Cottage Grove. Food, mental health, always the top two resources that are needed. Always the top priority, doesn't matter what school they're from, always. Post, pre-COVID, doesn't matter, those are the two. And then after that, it can look like a lot of different things. And our philosophy is that if we can help all students connect to the school's resources and services, we're helping our target population, our unaccompanied, because they're more likely to reach out for a resource or service or ask for help if they see other people reaching out and asking for help. When we did this at Sheldon High School, and this is public knowledge, but we give a report. So we give a report to the principal. We say, here's all the great things about your school. Here's the things that can cause some barriers to access to resources. here's your list of resources, and here's the things that your staff and students say they need or want. Schultz High School has a beautiful cafeteria, if you've ever seen it. One of the walls is all glass, faces out onto a courtyard. Nobody will go in it. Why will nobody go in it? Because the cafeteria is only for losers, and this has been a long-standing thing at that school. It's like a long-standing thing at that school. It is not new. So you look at their free and reduced lunch numbers and you go, yikes, there's a lot of students that qualify for free and reduced lunch, this is pre-COVID, that aren't accessing the cafeteria because I don't want to be a loser, I'd rather be hungry. And I love the administration of Schultz High School. We shared this with them. He's like, what do I do? I said, I have a team that goes in, I'm not on this, but you need to move, you know that coffee cart you have that all the students stand in line in? It's out in the hallway? You need to move that in the cafeteria. That needs to be in the cafeteria because then people are going to go in it. You know your football team that everybody loves? They need to be going and eating lunch in the cafeteria. Your band students need to be going and eating lunch in the cafeteria. Give them some incentive or ask them. I'm sure they'll just go. So now at Schultz High School, they have called Henry D's coffee cart inside the cafeteria there. And the other thing I learned is that schools, this is all schools, they put their clothing closets in a very far away place with a locked key. And then you have to ask somebody. And it's because they don't want to embarrass the student, right? And what we found is that's actually the opposite of what you need to do. And so we have been encouraging schools to put their clothing closets out in the open, right out in the open. So Sheldon's is run by their merchandising class. So it's a class, merchandising class. It's where it is. It's in the cafeteria, right? It's called Irish Outfitters. And if you haven't been out to Schultz High School, you should go see it. It's pretty amazing. South Eugene High School just moved theirs out into their cafeteria. But it's like we have to get the resources out to the students. So this is all great. This is all good work. It's all great. But what difference are we making on youth homelessness? Unfortunately, I can't really tell you. Because our thought was, how are we going to measure that we're doing it, that it's working? How do we know? And one of our measurements was, did they graduate from high school? If the schools are identifying them as unaccompanied, they know who they are, right? But they'll also know if they graduated. How do we know if they graduated? That was one of the measures. And then what happened was COVID. So when COVID happened, you know what happened. But what happened for unaccompanied students is that they disappeared. They fell off the radar screen despite a lot of effort and focus by the school districts to engage with them and find them and make sure they had what they needed to be able to continue to participate in school. And so now we're kind of back on the saddle, right? So now that school buildings are open, people are looking, they're watching, we're re-identifying, but one of the measurements for us will be, did they graduate? Did they graduate from high school? One way you can get involved that I didn't mention is because a lot of people say, well, I want to help. And I'll say, great. We have a volunteer position called a community responder. So you can receive an alert via text message or your email when there is a youth who needs something that my network of providers can't provide. And then every school has their own rapid access network. So we have the community ran rapid access network, and then every single high school has their own, so that any teacher or staff member can connect any student to resources and services available in their building via text message and email. So you don't have to know. Like, my husband's a teacher, and I shake my head because if anyone knows about the RAN, it's him. He comes home from school one day and he's like, I think I have a student who needs classes. Oh, really? Did you send an alert to RAN? Because you don't have to know, Mike, you do not have to know who in your school handles the glasses. You just have to send the alert because it's all right there, all in one place. So community responders can be specific to a high school. So if you are Churchill or North or Willamette or Thurston, etc., you can be a community responder for that specific high school and or the big community grant. So either of those. So that was a lot about 15th night. And I know that you have done a lot of research and discussing about homelessness. And I'm happy to try and answer any questions I can about that.
First question. First of all, we're gonna hand out, if I can get some help, we're gonna get some questions here for you. Yes.
It's available.
Yeah, my hands are free. Yeah, I'll have y'all write out your questions and then I'll read them. And Megan will answer.
You wanted me to ask the question while those things are being circulated?
Yes, and by the way, I'm just a word without words. And it's amazing what this community's been able to do thanks to you and your cohort.
Everybody.
Yeah.
You're talking here and see if it works.
Oh, no, yes, yes.
It's working? Yay. Okay, all right, ready?
Well, I have two questions, but I'll ask you one. One, I talked with you earlier about the true numbers of these kids in the county. And it was about 2,000 from a mental health worker that I talked to recently.
Ready? I can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, just have to kiss it. Kiss it.
So we were talking earlier about the true numbers of these kids, and they are hard to identify. But would you say that 2,000 is probably the more correct number for who's out there?
Did y'all hear that?
No.
Okay, so she's asking me how many kids are out there in the county that are experiencing homelessness. So remember, I'm talking about unaccompanied. There are kindergartners and preschoolers that are living in cars and in shelters and in motels, and the schools are tracking them. So it doesn't matter how you are experiencing homelessness, the schools are tracking kindergarten through 12th grade, no matter what their living situation is. So they are tracking them. And honestly, I don't know the number. I don't know, like, what is it countywide? But yes, if you can imagine that there were 500 unaccompanied students between, Bethel and Forte, right? But there's a couple thousand if you're counting kindergarten up. So I can get that number to you, but yes.
Excuse me, we have to leave, but we live in the Frederick School District, and I'd like to know if you have any plans on doing anything out there.
Did you hear that?
Are we going to Fern Ridge? Yes. So we just started doing rural communities, so that's why I was out in Crestwell and Mapleton, and then next year, it's just a lot of work. So, but we will be in Fern Ridge. Yes, we will.
Okay, here's another one. As a retired 4J principal, I'd like to clarify,
The lunch thing, the cafeteria thing.
lunch in the 4J schools.
Okay, my name's Marley Hicks, I'm a retired 4J.
Here's the mic. We can't,
I've got a PE voice.
no. We really don't want folks to.
So you guys were talking about the empty cafeterias, and let me just give you a little background.
federal lunch program gets you a free lunch at 4J schools, or if you're on reduced, you get a free lunch. Nowadays, lunch is offered to everybody, but that's not where the cool kids go. When I was principal at Roosevelt, there was a and Roosevelt used to be right there on 24th and Hilliard, not the new building, but where it used to be. And if you had great behavior, every student had a house advisor. So I had 20 kids in my advisory, et cetera. I'm trying to make it quick. So if you keep up your grades, and don't have any behavior infractions, you get a lunch pass with the other cool kids, and you get to go across the street to 24th and Hilliard. The coffee shops, the Mexican food, I don't really remember all of that, and of course, the be-all of end-all, Dairy Mart. Okay, walk down to the cafeteria, and who's there? The free and reduced lunch kids. They probably have perfect behavior, but they don't have the cash in their pocket to go across the street. Another very flagrant one is Sheldon High School, because they're right across the street from markup of choice. So you talk about the cafeteria, well, all the cool kids are over there. And so that's always been a dilemma. The nice thing about Roosevelt is when they remodeled and built the new school, nobody goes across the street. And it's a healthier situation. And I'm sure Judy, you would.
Also, all the
Just a second, I'll come over.
kind of lost control here.
More time.
I just wanted to add that we provide free breakfast and lunch to all students now to try to eliminate some of that, having to prove your income or stigma.
And then are you gonna explain what McKinney-Vento is?
She needs the one. I know, I mean, yep.
McKinney-Vento is the name of a federal act that protects the educational rights of students. And so there is a McKinney-Vento liaison in every school district. Some of them have multiple McKinney-Vento liaisons. And those are the staff members that are helping to identify and support students and families who are navigating homelessness.
Very good. Another good one. Please talk about how programs are inclusive of LGBTQ and trans youth. Good tough one.
Well, so we know on a national level that students who identify as LGBTQ have a higher risk of homelessness. The national statistics are about 40%. And so there has been a lot of focus, and I would say intentional focus, like on our Youth Action Council, we make sure that those voices are part of what we do. And I have noticed that there are a lot of the schools, and again, 4J leads the way on this, is that what they call affinity groups. And so really embracing everybody and everybody's voices. Yeah.
Okay. How do you connect with Egan Warming Center? Also, do you have churches in your network?
Egan Warming Center, as you know, is only open on super cold nights from November to I think March maybe. It's run through St. Vincent de Paul. They do have a youth Egan Warming Center that is at First United Methodist Church, which is down kind of by the library over in that area. And so what we do is we help promote that, so it's out on our social media so that our partners know, oh, Egan's going to be open tonight. So if you're working with the youth, and, send them that way.
What about churches? Do they have any?
We don't have any churches in the network, but we have a lot of churches that have community responders.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, do you have a program for youth who are not being reached by schools?
So yeah, well, that's a whole, when you talk about youth homelessness, there are youth who have dropped out of school and are on the street. And so we're still focused on your unaccompanied students. That's our focus, but we would never turn anybody away. And there are a lot of organizations that support, like Hosea, Looking Glass, are supporting youth who have already dropped out and are on the streets. CORE is another organization that does that. So there are organizations focused on supporting that population.
The kids are needy. What can you do to fix a family? Then write a book and help us all. Yeah.
No, but I think people just need to be heard. I think we need to listen. I think we need to do a better job of listening to everybody, but listening to families, like hearing them and then supporting them how they need or want to be supported. So if I was going to start somewhere with that question, I would start there.
Seems to me, parenting needs to be on the curriculum. Really, I mean, that and driver's ed maybe. Have you been approached by any cities to replicate your program beyond?
We get asked that question a lot. So there's, I have myself and one other full-time person, and then we have 2 part-time people. And our goal is to make sure that our community of Eugene Springfield is best supported the best way we can, and our schools are best supported. And then we're reaching out to Lane County. So we just started going to Lane County, and then I don't want to think about the other. I just want to take care of our people right now.
Does anybody, yeah, that's one. Y'all are paying attention. Yeah. How do you coordinate with child welfare?
So child welfare is, so Philip knows this, but there are kids that run away from foster care that are still in foster care. And so we work, and when I say we, I'm talking about the network of organizations. I'm not talking about me personally, but we do have caseworkers that reach out that are looking for a runner. And so we kind of put the word out that if you see this youth, that we want to make sure that they are safe. First and foremost, are they safe? And what do they need? And that's really the caseworker's attention as well. Like, I'm not going to try and go grab them and bring them back in. I wanted to first and foremost make sure they're safe. And so we kind of use our network to try and help identify that youth for them, make sure that we can, hopefully that they are safe.
Do you have a paid staff?
Yeah, just answer that. So myself and one other person, and then I have my 2 part-time facilitators of the Youth Action Council, because I'm not that cool to be working with the youth. And they are busy people. They sit on committees, they inform a lot of organizations, they do their own thing. They have something called Burrito Fridays, where they're helping do feed kids out on the street. So yeah, they have a whole book of work that they do.
Is it safe to assume that you're 501c3?
Okay, so at the very beginning, John Reese said, I do not want to start a new 501c3. And so, and of course, all this takes IT. I'm not an IT person. All this takes IT, and all this takes accounting and all this stuff. So when we originally started, and I was doing my interviews, I interviewed Oregon Social Learning Center. Just randomly, I interviewed them. But one of the things I learned was, those of you who know them, they're an international organization, but they're located right here in Eugene. And they said to me, we really want to find a way to serve our community. Our community. We want to be part of serving our community. And so I came back and said, great, I have an idea for you. How about you take care of our IT, you take care of all the accounting, all the kind of what I call back office stuff, and oh, by the way, you are the 501c3. So 15th night falls underneath their 501c3.
Brilliant.
That's great.
Which group was that? Say that again.
Oregon Social Learning Center.
Did you get it?
Their nonprofit arm is ODI. I just like to say OSS.
Yeah. I have, Barb discussed some of this yesterday. We have a question about how can the league help? And that's a complicated sort of, or definite answer. We can't directly support them with money. However, members certainly can, and I encourage that. So how would we get money to you? How would a member?
I can leave some information about how you could sign up to be a community responder. And then also, if you want to make a donation, that's great too. I would say another place where the league can really support us is when things are happening legislatively. And it'd be great for me to be able to reach out and say, hey, this bill's happening. Can you get behind, would you research it, get behind it? And if you can you advocate for it? Like, that's something I can't do, and it's something, well, that we don't have, I could do it, but we don't have the capacity. You guys are the experts. I would say that would be a really big way that you can help.
I'm sure we would really appreciate that kind of help. If there's any kind of legislation that can be supported via the league, and I guess it depends on the bill.
Right.
But yeah, we can do that. Any other questions? Any other ideas about how we can help? Yes, ma'am.
I just had a question. Are you part of the 2on1.org network in Oregon?
Are we part of 2on1? No, we are not part of 2on1.
What is the 211?
It's like a statewide call-in for Oregon. They have them in Washington too. So like if a kid's on the street and is trying to get some help, they would call 211 and then they basically cross-refer back to the community. But it's
Yeah,
statewide.
we have a 24/7 resource line that's answered by Whitebird. But the Whitebird answers it for us. And then they use the RAN, the Rapid Access Network, to send alerts out. So it's happens 24/7.
I think we're really lucky to live in a community that creates this kind of assistance. I mean, there's cahoots that were a national treasure when you think about it, a model for what we do in this community. We do a lot of things right. Very proud and honored to hear what you have to say. Thank you for speaking to our membership and friends. We're really honored and grateful to learn from you and much appreciate your work. Next month, we'll meet here again. Then the speaker will be on March 16th, sorry. And we'll have a representative from Braver Angels of Oregon and Southwest Washington, who works together to depolarize our country. So, yeah. Stay tuned and watch out on our website, our newsletter, and any other media that we work with. I think Facebook and any number, I don't know.
YouTube channel.
YouTube we'll have this on it.
We have a channel.
We have a channel. Well, go to our website. Thank you, June, for doing what she's done. Thank you very much. And Rhonda, our original technician, and all the people that do the important stuff and maybe the boring stuff. We've got to all work to do what we can when we can. We try to make the jobs easy to do and fulfilling, because you can look back at what you do and feel proud, but don't overwork.
Yeah.
And try to keep you from beating yourself up. So anyway, leaders, friends, guests, thank you for coming today, and please be safe on the way home.
I'm not sure how to do that.
Thank you.
Oh,